Jackie Simon, however, began her advocacy for open housing in the mid-60s, before our modern civil rights legislation became law.
So I was selling my home, and no broker would agree to show my home to African Americans, and I just insisted that it was to be shown to anyone. And so I ended up listing it with Suburban Maryland Fair Housing. The things that Suburban Maryland accomplished for early on was just really very exciting to me, and I was chair of that several years.
One of Jackie's fellow advocates during those years was Jim McDonnell, who now chairs the Equal Rights Center.
We met in the late 60s when we were both appointed to the Human Rights Commission by the county executive. She's been on it twice. She was on it with me in the late 60s, and then in about 2003, she was on it again, and she was chair. She is probably one of the best chairs the commission has ever had. She knows the movers and shakers in the metropolitan area who get things done. You don't say no to Jackie Simon. You want to work with her.
In the 80s, Jackie became a realtor herself, yet she continued her advocacy for fair housing when Congress was considering an expansion of the law.
I believe I was the only realtor that's testified in favor of protected class status for families with children and people with disabilities. And my industry fought against the amendments. There was a threat that they were going to try and get my license. How dare I support something that they opposed?
In 1988, the Fair Housing Law was changed to protect families and people with disabilities, a group that became very important in her life.
Many years ago, my son was hurt in a bicycle race, and over the years, Kirk has many friends now that are wheelchair users, and it took me a long time to find a place for him to live. And once I did, his friends would say, "How can I find a house?" And Kirk would say, "Call my mom, call my mom." And so Mom just kind of moved into that field, and it's been very gratifying.
Jackie's clients are also organizations. One is Housing Unlimited. The executive director is Abe Schuman.
Housing Unlimited provides permanent, supportive, independent housing for very low-income adults with psychiatric disabilities. We've acquired 50 homes. Jackie's played a role in the acquisition of almost all of our homes. She's helped us navigate the real estate process. And on the rare occasions when the seller agent, the seller balked at working with us, Jackie, in her own diplomatic way, reminded folks about their obligations under the Federal Fair Housing Act.
I've encountered discrimination a number of times, and without the Washington Lawyers Committee and the Equal Rights Center, I wouldn't have had the resources to bring suits and get very satisfactory resolution. One of our suits actually has changed the entire industry of home warranties, which had discriminated against group homes in the past, which to me was a flagrant violation of the Federal Fair Housing Act. And we became victorious.